Hello and welcome. I am Scrapperlock, and this is City of Heroes on the Rebirth server. I'm going to be trying a new set of videos. We'll see how this works. This probably won't be the only thing I'll post to my channel because I still want to do some solo tabletop role playing, but I'm still working out the details of how to do that. And I'm going to have to do some playtesting myself to see if I can make it work before I try to put it live. So in the meantime, I wanted to post some stuff, and I decided to come up with a stalker. Um, and this is Psyop. Now, originally I created this character as a scrapper, but I just got done playing Iron Phoenix, and I'll talk about that in a minute, who is a scrapper. So, and I have another character who's a brute that I recorded a bunch of gameplay, and I decided I didn't want to post what I was recording for a variety of reasons. The main reason is I waited too long to see if I wanted to make the posts, and then the stuff that I was talking about was like kind of way out of date. So kind of rebooting that. You've not seen any of it, but I'm going to do it with this character, and I think it'll be easier to do with this character because this is a stalker. And I haven't played a stalker since I did Tiger Strike. So this is Psyop. She is a mutation stalker. So she's blind. I shouldn't say blinded. It should just say blind from birth. Her name is Nikki Banks, and she was blind and had to do braille and use a walking stick and just like any other regular blind person. And then because she's a mutant, when she hit puberty, this is a typical mutant story, right? I'm not normally a fan of mutants, but I haven't played a mutation character in a while, so I figure it's time. She started hearing the thoughts of other people, and she started being able to see with her mind. So she can actually, sort of Daredevil-esque, she can sense what's around her with her psychic powers. And so she was recruited by the FBSA, which is the Federal Bureau of Superpowered Affairs or whatever in Paragon City lore. And she is part of the gift team, which is for mutants, and she's part of their special ops. Sure, that's their plan, is for her to be part of the special ops, but she's got to get more powerful first, and so they're going to give her some missions to get her there, and she's going to be one of their like secret agents, taking down the villains secretly. So of course we're in the tutorial because I always start in this tutorial. I've set everything up already. You can see her here in game. This is the last time you're going to see her like this because we're going to turn on hide, and she's going to vanish. So powers wise, she is a psionic melee and willpower stalker. I'm sort of disappointed about this because my brute's also a willpower brute. I didn't even think about that. But to me, willpower or psionics, that pairs up really well, so I guess that's what we're going to do. Won't matter to you guys because you haven't seen me play willpower before. And so here we are in the tutorial. So before we start, maybe while we start, I am not going to read out missions. Like if you want to sort of learn how to play City of Heroes, I recommend that you check out my martial arts scrapper. I recommend that you check out my mastermind for City of Villains. Those plays and some of the other ones I've done are much more tutorial in nature, and we go over the missions and we talk about what's happening in the mission, and those are Let's Plays. This one I'm going to call a Let's Rant. So what we're going to do here, and I don't know about ranting, but what we're going to do here is talk about all kinds of things, whether it's video gaming or Dungeons and Dragons, which is the game I'm playing on tabletop, or Savage Worlds, which is a game I would love to play but don't have anybody to play with. Stuff going on in my game group, stuff going on in other people's game groups, comments people make, things I'm seeing on other channels. That's what this will be, right? So you can watch me play City of Heroes, but do I have to talk to this guy? Did I not accept the mission? Talk. Okay. We'll be playing City of Heroes, but we won't really be talking a lot about City of Heroes, although it is inevitable that, like what just happened, that I might, interrupt myself by talking about what's going on right here in the game because, obviously I'm playing it live. So this isn't going to be the way some people do this, is they'll record the game they're playing, and then they will take the recording and loop it and then do a voiceover over a script. I considered doing that. Maybe I will turn this into something like that, but for now, I like to either listen to something or talk about something while I'm playing the game, right? I've been playing City of Heroes for a really long time, and I really don't need to devote maximal attention, particularly to the story arcs, and even to the gameplay, especially if I'm playing a Stalker, a Scrapper, or a Brute. I'm really good at those sorts of characters, and consequently, I don't really need to devote my full concentration to a character like this. And so I'm going to be talking about other stuff, and I don't know if people are going to be interested in it or not. We'll see how it goes. If nobody's interested, I'll just stop doing it, I guess, and I'll play this character while I listen to somebody's podcast. I was certainly doing that with Iron Phoenix, who I just finished playing, and I'm going to talk about that first. And that was certainly enjoyable, but sometimes I just have something on my mind and I want to kind of talk about it, and this is a nice venue for me to do that. And this enables me to keep putting videos on my channel and keep putting out some content for people that they might want to watch until I can get really firmed up exactly how I'm going to do my solo play. And I want to talk about that today too. So we're going to talk about solo play and tabletop games and potential directions for the channel and where I'm going to go with it. And we're going to talk about the past, recent past, Iron Phoenix. So let's go to Iron Phoenix and just talk about her very briefly. You have seen Iron Phoenix. She's the last character in City of Heroes that I actually played for you guys and uploaded the video. She was my final character in Iron Man mode. I got her to a pretty decent level, 17 or 18 or something, and then she bit the dust. Right, we face planted, and the Iron Man rules or Iron Phoenix rules were that once your character face plants, they're out. They've quote unquote died, and you have to delete them and make up another character. Now, I didn't delete her. She was my final Iron Man or Iron Maiden, I guess, character. And after that, I didn't do it anymore. So I said, well, I'm not going to delete her and start her over. I just keep her and run her to 50. Well, she recently, just 2 days ago, got to level 50. And so I now no longer am playing her. She got to level 50. She was in the middle of a story arc. She actually got to level 50 about 4 days ago. But she was in the middle of the Save 1,000 Worlds story arc, which is quite a long arc. And I said, all right, she's done getting experience. You can't really do anything on Rebirth with a level 50 character if you're not going to go into the Incarnate Trials. It's not like Homecoming where you can keep playing and get veteran levels. And I kind of wish they had that here because I would play Iron Phoenix probably forever. But because you can't do that, once the character can no longer earn experience, I just stopped playing it. So I finished up the last story arc because I didn't want to leave that unfinished. But that character is now finished. She's done. She's sitting on a whole bunch of influence that I can feed down to this character, which is quite nice. And so it's time to make up a new character. It's a rather bittersweet moment to get to level 50 with characters for me because that pretty much means I'm done with them. And I really love martial arts super reflex. I really enjoyed playing Iron Phoenix. And we've leveled up to level 2. And I'm going to miss playing Iron Phoenix. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to make up a Stalker, because Stalkers play a lot like Scrappers, and this would give me the opportunity to play another character that's similar. So it's sort of a bittersweet moment to start a new character. I always love starting characters and making up new characters, and I had a lot of fun with this character, just designing her, although it's based on the previous design of Psyop, which you guys haven't seen, and I messed it up a little bit, so I'm going to have to go to the tailor when I've earned a little bit of influence and make a couple of tweaks to the costume. But it's bittersweet because I like making up new characters and designing new characters and going to the costume editor. But I'm going to miss playing Iron Phoenix because I really love martial arts super reflex and I love that character. So that's kind of the past, right? I've finished that character. I have another character named Impulse Storm who is a level 30 brute, and I'll be alternating between this character and that one, but you won't be seeing this character. You won't be seeing the brute. You'll only be seeing this character. So do I want? I think we don't need that yet. We're going Psyblade. I haven't played Psionics before, so I don't know a lot of details about all of the different powers, but I assume that they'll all be pretty cool. And of course, what we really want to get is the Assassin Psyblade, which we get at level 8, I believe, and that is going to make our lives much happier. So we're going to ignore Matthew Havishi, and we're going to go in and see if we can talk to Gift and get the traditional old school missions. I think as long as you don't talk to him first, you can get the old school missions. So this is Gift. This is the Genetic Investigation and Facilitation Team. Nope. Well, that's unfortunate. Maybe this guy? Nope. Well, I guess we're doing Matthew Habishi's missions. That really sucks. The last time I did this, I was able to get those missions. That's unfortunate. That's the past. I'm done playing Iron Phoenix, and I am going to now play this character for the channel. Let's talk about the future. I'm going to pause it here. I'm going to try one little thing, and then I'll bring you guys back. All right, so I decided to try Susan Davies with Elite. I actually said, like, just come in and try every single contact here and see. For whatever reason, she's giving it to me instead of Gift. I'm not sure why. Because Elite's for natural. But I'll take it. This is the original. I wonder if Gift will talk to me too now. My test was, can I, after talking to Habishi, can I get a contact? But this guy's not a contact for me. Below security level 35. That's weird. So I guess even the mutation people work with Elite? Not sure. Maybe everybody works with Elite? I've only ever tried it with Elite, I think. I'm not really sure. But anyway, all right. So we're going to talk to Mansfield. That's what we want. And so now as we go, we're going to talk about the future. So my plan is to do this for now, and we'll see how it goes. If people like it, I'll keep doing it. This is going to be a Let's Rant with Scrapperlock. You're going to be Let's Ranting. We're going to be like ranting about stuff, not in this episode, because this is set up. But we'll talk about role-playing game stuff, whatever comes up. There's going to be a lot to talk about with D&D because of the new 1D&D setup, and if you don't know anything about that, you will hear a lot about that on this channel in the future. So be ready for that. And so there'll be lots of ranting about that and other role-playing games, I'm sure. So I'm going to definitely do that with these videos. But my primary goal isn't really to continue doing Let's Plays of City of Heroes and ranting. I mean, that's fine and all, but I really like the channel to be about more than just me ranting. And so my primary focus is going to be solo tabletop role-playing. And I'm not 100% sure of exactly how I'm going to do that. Right now, I'm pursuing a couple of different avenues of possibility. One possibility is to use a solo game that has a lot of praise from a variety of people who do solo gaming called the D100 Dungeon. And this is designed to be solo. You play it by yourself. You generate random dungeons with your character. You go in, you get into combat, and so on. I haven't played it yet, so I don't know how much I'm going to like it. Unfortunately, there isn't. We better watch out for red cons here. Just got to make sure not to attack anybody. Since we're hidden, these guys won't be able to find us, which is a really nice feature of Stalkers. And that's why I decided ranting works pretty well with Stalkers. So anyway, back to D100 Dungeon. There isn't a module for it in Foundry, and there aren't a lot of good digital tools for it. It's meant to be played on paper, and in fact, they have lots of cool like play mats and other things that where are the bad guys that that you can buy, and they have like cards and stuff like that that you can use to like draw decks of cards instead of randomly rolling, and uh, it looks really cool, but I'm not sure how I would present that to an audience. So I've got the first book. There are actually 6 books. There are all these supplements. I think one of the supplements, if I'm not mistaken, is actually almost like a little campaign, like a randomly generated campaign. And so mostly you randomly generate quests and do them on a randomly generated set of dungeon maps and stuff. But I think that the campaigns actually have like a campaign world and a set of quests, and that you kind of adventure through the world and do the quests. I'm not really sure because they're additional supplements, and I didn't want to get into the supplements before I played the base game. So I need to try it out. I need to figure out first how I'm going to do it. Man, am I missing? I need to figure out first how I'm going to play it. I need to play it by myself a little bit and see if I like it, and then see if it's something that I think I could actually make work in a an online format, because it's really meant to be played, as I say, pencil and paper. So, oh, that guy was an orange con. That's why it was so hard to hit him. So that's one possibility, and I'm going to be pursuing that in the future. But it's going to take me a while to work that out, right? I'm going to need to make up a character, run through some dungeons. I'm probably going to want to play it on paper first, and then maybe see what I can do in terms of adapting Foundry or Roll20 or something to use it. I'm not actually sure. There might be a module for it in Roll20. If there is, then that might be really cool, and it might make my life easier, and maybe we could do that. So I don't know. D100 Dungeon is one option. It is a solo game meant to be soloed. The second idea that I have is playing Pathfinder for Savage Worlds with some modifications to it, or just base Savage Worlds. I'm not sure yet. I haven't made up my mind. In a fantasy setting that's not the Galarian world, because I don't really like that world, but instead is a world called Harn World, which is based on the game Harn Master. But I don't think that's going to be easy to solo, because I've never played it before, and so I think it would be very difficult, whereas I do know the rules for Savage Worlds pretty well. If I do that, my plan, most soloing, and D100 Dungeon would be like this as well. We'll just clean this up and get XP. Most soloing is meant... most people, when they solo a role-playing game tabletop, they solo, like I'm doing here, they solo as a player, right? And they use the random number oracles to be the GM. And that's the normal way you play it. And the reason that there's a lot of challenge to doing this is that when you're solo, and I'm going to remember to let Hyde re-engage with this character. I haven't played a Stalker in a long time. I'm used to playing a Brute where you want to go as fast as can between the spawns. When you're soloing, usually you're playing a single character, but the majority, other than D100, which is meant to be soloed, the majority of regular role-playing games are not meant to be soloed, and the assumption that the designers make, that the module makers make, that the rules make, is that you are in a party. And it's very hard to rebalance the game for a single character all by itself. Characters need to be able to defend themselves, they need to be able to attack in melee, they need to be able to attack at range, they need to be able to have skills and do utility things like disarming traps, and they need to be able to heal up and cure themselves and remove conditions and that sort of stuff. And they just don't design characters in solo games to be able to do all of that. So you need some kind of a change to the rules in order to be able to get the character to survive and have it be viable, which in general means that the character has to be like a superhero, right, in a regular non-supered world. And so I don't know that I really want to do that. I feel like it requires a lot of rule tweaking to get the character to be able to play in a way that where it works. And then you can't use published modules because they're designed for multiple characters. You have to introduce all of these artifices to the game system in order to be able to solo. It does feel like you're a player and the random die rolls are being the GM, and you can see that style of play in my channel on the Ironsworn playlist or the Starforge playlist. But um, although it makes it easier to run in terms of rolling dice to see what the DM would do when you play your character, it makes it harder to actually play the game using the game's rules because the game's rules were never meant for that. So I was watching a channel, and I can't remember which one now, where the person talking about doing this said there's another way to do it, and that's solo GMing. That is, you have a party of player characters that instead of you controlling them, you let the Oracle control them. And then you, as a GM, make up adventures, and you randomly roll to see how the players go through your adventure. Now, this is a very different style of play. Nobody seems to do this on their channel, so I can't watch to see how other people do it. I'm going to have to completely figure this out myself. There are a couple of supplements that you can download to help you do this, and I don't actually like the supplements because what the supplements are doing is they're mimicking players, not characters, right? They're basically saying, okay, we're going to give you a random number table that will help you like mimic one of the players is a power gamer and one of the players is a rules lawyer and so on and so forth. Like, why would I want to mimic having a rules lawyer at my table? I know it happens in the real world, but what I'm trying to do is not so much mimic the experience of the players, but mimic the experience of player characters. And when you are using oracles to mimic a DM, you don't have like there isn't a table of oracles you roll on for the killer DM, and a table of oracles you roll on for the Monty Hall DM, and a table of oracles you roll on for the nice, friendly DM or the newbie DM, right? You just have one set of oracles, and the assumption is you're playing with a really high quality, good game master. And I've got to remember to go in and set that I want bosses and missions, because the default is that you don't, and that's why we have a lieutenant here. So I wouldn't want to necessarily mimic the personalities of the players, just the personalities of the characters. So I've got a system that I think will work. There is a system called Flextail that will generate dungeons. That's good if you want to be a solo player with a game master. But Flextail also has an AI system. It's called Flextail AI, and this allows you to like randomly generate the behavior of an NPC with very complicated rules. Like you say what kind of an NPC it is: a brute versus a controller versus a defender type personality, and then what are the conditions? Is he like does he have the upper hand? Is he bloodied and hurt? Is he scared? Is he outnumbered? Is he outnumbering the enemy? And then that just alters the probabilities of what the character is going to do. So I think what I may be able to do is use Flextail AI to decide what the player characters do. And there is a combat and non-combat set of tables for the AI. And then as a GM, I can make up the mission, the scenario, right, the adventure, and then use the Flextail system to see, okay, which quest that I've offered them do the player characters take, and once they take the quest, how are they going to go about it? Are they going to try to sneak in? Are they going to try to brute force their way in? How are they going to do it? And they're probably going to need to be more oracles besides the Flextail system that I'm going to need to use, but I think that that might be a really fun way to play. And if I decide to do that, I'm always thinking, what's the value add of me adding this video to the world of YouTube, right? When I first started with City of Heroes, it was here's how to play City of Heroes on the Rebirth or the Homecoming servers and stuff. And here's how to play a Stalker. Here's how to play a Dominator and so on, Mastermind. But I've kind of done that. And I don't think continuing to simply do that would be of any value. You want to know how to play a stalker? You don't need to watch this. You can go watch Tiger Strike. Um, so you want to learn how to play Iron Man mode? How I do it? You can watch my Iron Man, right? So, um, so I'm not sure that plain old City of Heroes missions are necessarily super beneficial, but if we, oh, this is a jump, not a fly. If we do them as a as a rant, and I'm adding value by talking about important concepts and role playing game ideas in the play, then then that works for me. And for doing solo, there aren't a lot of D100 dungeon. There's a few, but there aren't a lot of D100 dungeon solo games out there, and I don't know of any that I've been able to find. I could just have missed them that are like a whole campaign where you play a character from whatever. It's not really levels in that game, but the equivalent of level 1 to level 20. So that could be interesting. And then there certainly don't seem to be any solo GMing sessions where the person is playing a party of characters and they're GMing for the party, and the random rolls aren't determining what the GM does, but determining what the party does. So, so I think that would be a value add because it would provide people with guidance, with some idea of how to do this that maybe they wouldn't have come up with before, and contribute to the sort of milieu of the role-playing world, and particularly solo tabletop gaming. And so that's an appealing idea to me if I can make it work. But it's an open question whether I'm going to be able to make it work. Just like it's an open question whether I'm going to be able to make D100 work, and it's an open question whether I'd be able to make whether I'm going to be able to make this work. So so I'm not sure exactly what the future holds for this channel, but that's kind of where we stand at this point. I think we've done enough for this episode. So let me know in the comments what you think. If you have a preference for whether you'd rather see me do D100 Dungeon versus do solo GMing with something like Savage Worlds in Harn World, that's certainly a possibility. If you'd rather me do D100, that's a possibility. I'm going to test doing both of these and see which one I like better and which one I think I can make better videos out of. And I might not feel like I can make good videos out of either one of them, in which case it won't happen. We'll see. Also, let me know if you want to watch me doing some, playing the game and ranting about stuff. I didn't really rant in this episode, so it'll be maybe a little hard to extrapolate what that'll be like. But I'll post a couple more videos before I decide whether I want to stop or not, and you can, decide for yourself what you think and leave some comments. Let me know. Do you want to watch more, City of Heroes with me ranting? Do you want to watch more tabletop? Both? Neither? Let me know, and that will influence my decision. Until next time, guys, I'm Scrapperlock, and this has been City of Heroes on the Rebirth server.